Hi, I'm Jenyce, and welcome to Authentic Living. The following interview is with a good friend of mine who is also named Dawn. She is Dawn Hunter. She has an amazing background in digital marketing and has a master's degree in that area. And I too came from an industry that she's in, which is the advertising industry. But also similar to me, not only our name and our career background, but we both suffered a tragedy. Dawn has also lost an adult son. Tragically, she lost her son to suicide several years ago. But what Dawn has done with this most horrific thing that a mother could endure is absolutely amazing. And she's helping so many people with the tragedy of suicide and making a difference. Stay tuned and listen to this interview that I do with my friend, Dawn Hunter.
When I think about even what authentic means and, having your insides match your outsides and just kind of not being afraid of being who you are,
Yeah.
you know, that fear of being judged and that fear of like, I'm not good enough. And which I think for me for a long time allowed me to put a mask on. So it wasn't okay to be authentic. So I think for as far as engaging in that topic, I think it would be, important to know the barriers I think that I have to be an authentic and then that we all have. I think one of the hardest things is that vulnerability piece because vulnerability is just a part of being human. Growing up, and it's like, how do we become authentic, right? Like, what does that even mean? Um, you know, I didn't even know for when I was younger, you don't know that you are who you are, right? There isn't any negative barriers yet. You make mud pies, you play in the dirt, that is your authentic self because you haven't been bombarded with the real world yet. You're still just a kid, which is kind of nice. So I remember back to being younger and being like, all is well with the world, and then life happens and you get older and jaded. But, I think it's important to at least recognize that you have the ability to go back to what did it look like before all the external garbage in the world buried me. But then what happened in January of 2008, I lost my 19-year-old son to suicide. And, that's not something that any parent should have to go through. No parent should have to bury a child, and especially when it comes to things like suicide, it's not like, in my generation, no one ever really talked about mental health wasn't even talked about. It wasn't a thing, it was more like, oh, get over it, move on.
Mhm.
Um, and simply because, I can look back now, my parents' generation didn't, that wasn't talked about. So like it's an evolutionary thing. We pass it on in generations. So when I lost my son to suicide in 2008, it was traumatic to say the least. And I went on a mission, you know, after I attended my first Out of the Darkness walk, which is a walk that's held across the country. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is actually a national organization. So I attended my first walk in December of 2008. And I think the pivotal moment was at the walks, you wear different colored beads that represent your loss and, white beads for losing a child. And when I went to that walk and I looked around and I saw all of these people wearing white beads, I was like, wow, I'm not the only one that this has happened to. And I was so moved by the ceremony. It was held at Kiwanis Park. There was like 250 people. And they had raised money over a couple walks. But the challenge was they didn't have a vehicle to distribute the money for programming in the community. So that being said, they needed a chapter. A chapter consisted of 5 things you had to do, including a board. And needless to say, I went on a mission and put the chapter together, and they were able to funnel that money back into the community through by giving programs to schools and whatnot. So it was not on my plan to do that, but that's kind of, I could have curled up in a fetal position, or I could have just said, listen, here's a fork in the road, right? So we either crawl in a hole and don't come out, or we have to convert this tragedy into something that is different. And that was the path that I took. Wasn't easy, to say the least.
No, it's not easy. And does your chapter have a name?
Yep, it's actually the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention Arizona chapter. I was the original board chair, and then I became staff in 2016. They had raised, I stepped down as board chair because it was really important for other people who were experiencing loss to be able to, use that as a vehicle to heal. So I stepped down, but then they raised enough money in 2016 to hire staff. So I went on as staff. And then in 2019, actually stepped down as staff and let a whole nother generation of people come, on board. So still do the walks. I actually attended the one it was last month. And that walk has grown, over the years, it had grown to probably 2,500 people. And now, COVID hit, so it dropped a little bit, but it's at Salt River Talking Stick Resort. And just to sit there in the crowd, in the stands and look around and go, wow. Wow. My son's death has me, it's not the manner of his death that really, that's not how I wanted his life to be represented, is the manner of his death. But it transformed into so much, because even today, people reach out to me like, hey, do you have some resources for this or resources for that? And I still have all those resources. So I still help.
Helping millions of people. That's really what it boils down to. And what a legacy that he, through you, has left behind to help others. And it's true. It's when we lose a child, I can only imagine, especially to suicide, you would have to rise from those ashes like the phoenix. You would have to. It seems virtually impossible, but you have done that and created a legacy by stepping up and being brave.
Yeah.
And as a mother who's lost a child too, not to suicide, but who has lost a child, just that alone, it takes so much courage to actually stand up. It takes courage just to stand up and to face it and talk about it and create something from it, which you've done, Dawn.
Yeah, it's, and I think, it's important for people to know that it is possible to survive anything. And it was difficult, there's no way, whatever masks we put on in our life, I'm in sales. So it's like, go time and this and that, and, I'm at work and go. But when it comes to grief, and when it comes to being a mother dealing with the loss of a child, you can't hide. There is nothing but vulnerability there. And I was willing to be there for the next person and not feel like somehow whatever I did or didn't do as a mother, as a result of that this is my fault. And to be able to turn to another mother or another father and look at them and say, listen, here's their data and the reality of what suicide is, right? The data and the reality. There is nothing that you did or didn't do that caused this. Because the first thing we want to do is blame what did I do? How come I didn't see the signs? What did I, and that's why I think I made it a mission, not only to validate for myself that somehow I didn't fail as a parent, but also to be able to let other people know, listen, here's the statistics on it. No one, the only thing we can do now is share our journey with other people and give them the strength and the courage to ask those hard questions. Look for the warning signs, look for, think about risk factors, and not be afraid to ask that question, if you're concerned that someone's thinking of taking their life. And that was, I think, the change that happened, is not being afraid to talk about a topic that has a tendency to be so taboo.
So, yeah. Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, my son died of a brain tumor. It was different reason for death. However, it's an illness, and suicide is
Mm-hmm.
a result of an illness, and
Right. Mental health. Mm-hmm.
it is.
Yep.
And I beat myself up too. I mean, badly. Like, it's torture what we as parents do, because the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, but we can't go
Yeah.
backwards. And
Right.
it takes courage to step out of that identity too,
100%.
and to realize that, you know, we have our own path and they have their own path, because they are not just an extension of us. And I think that was one of the hard realities that I found out about myself, is that that's a reoccurring pattern from generations, is that my mother thought I was an extension of her, and then therefore I thought my children are an extension of me, but they aren't.
Right.
They're individuals,
Right.
they're souls.
Right. Exactly.
We make,
Exactly. It's,
yeah.
and even when that, disconnection from a child happens in something even, tragic as death, right? That's so final. It's so non-negotiable. It's like, wait, it's just non-negotiable, right? It's a form of radical acceptance that you have to perform in that moment over and over and over. But I think also having, I have other children, I have two other boys. It's still the same. What it makes me realize is that I have to stand out of the way of whatever their journey is to be, not because I'm abandoning them, right? Because I can still support them, but I can't manage their life. Let me tell you, I've tried to, and as far as it didn't work out well for me. But, just learning that lesson, like ultimately I have no power over, I'm not that powerful, which is kind of unfortunate, to be able to drive my kids in a direction that I think they should go, because somehow I think I know best when, like, if you do this, this is going to happen. However, if my life is any testimony to that, that is not how life happens. It's really about honoring and cherishing them in the moment, and not judging and not shaming or blaming, because I don't want that to happen to me. Why would I do that to someone else?
Absolutely.
Yeah. My dad tried to be helpful many times throughout my years, and it left me with a sense of not being good enough. And so I know that although my opinions and my helpful advice and whatnot, my intentions are good and my motives are not, negative, but how it's received on the other end is that no matter what I do, think, or say, it's not enough. And so I've had to reflect and go, okay, I have to let them live their lives. Apparently. I'm not in charge.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack what you just said. With what you said, there's so much there. Like, number one, we are not that powerful. Surprise. Like, I thought I was too. Like, I thought I could manifest anything in my children's lives, like anything, including curing cancer. I did. I really thought that. And that was another, okay, I don't have that kind of power, nor should I, because number one, my children want to live their own lives and make their own choices, not my choices. So
Right.
they'll never be empowered if I am the one that's making all their decisions for them, and they'll never feel that joy of
Right.
of learning from their own mistakes, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then
Exactly.
number three, which we probably haven't touched on yet, but um, we are talking about authenticity here. And probably the most important thing, this should be number one, is that you, Dawn, and me, Dawn, we are we are important too.
Hmm.
Like we are individual souls with a life of our own, and we have to fulfill the reason that we're here too, and to do that on our own and to keep living when somebody else has
Right.
chosen to leave.
Yeah, exactly. And self-care is just so important. You know, I always quote unquote prided myself and be able to, I kind of thrive in chaos. I can do this, I can do that. I operate good on grace under pressure. However, as I get older, and realize that I don't have to have chaos to feel like I am worthy or I'm accomplishing something, because that was such a part of my identity, is that if I'm not accomplishing something, if I'm not number one, if I'm, then I'm nothing. But the reality is that I am enough. I am not what I do. I am who I am. And it took me a long time to get to that point. And that comes back to that balance and that embracing yourself in all your, you know, um, parts of yourself that are not perfect. And that is being authentic, because nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
No one. I'm
Yeah.
still waiting for that.
Yeah. Well, me too,
I'm
but
still waiting.
I can say that the first time I met you, um, I knew nothing about your identity. I knew nothing about what you do, or even your motherhood. I knew nothing about it, but just your energy. I knew that you were special. And that is
Aw,
part of this process, is being able to shed identity, because it's not who we are.
no,
It's who we
no.
think we are through this life by what other people tell us, or how we're raised, or
Mhm.
how we're perceived.
Right,
Not the
right,
truth.
right. Well, and I love the fact, that I always have, like, I'm not quote unquote stuck in anything. I always have the power to choose, right? I used to think that had the worst luck ever and that everything was going to be terrible forever or everything was going to be good forever, but I have the power to choose on who I want to be. I don't have the power to choose how someone else wants to be, but I can actually be okay with stepping back and going, is this my behavior or is this truly who I am? And, and I have to think about that, because I'm not my behavior. Underneath all of that reactions to life, I'm actually not my behavior, but my behavior is driven by some just old belief systems that don't even need to be there, because they're not even me. They're just these old tapes in my head. So it's that constant reaffirming that you are not your past. You're not what someone else says you are. You get to be who you are. And I have reinvented myself in my career multiple times, because I didn't know what I want to be when I grow up. I still don't.
Whatever that means, grown up. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know.
No,
I have no idea.
I have a good friend, Derek Lacey, who I've actually interviewed on this program, who is a sleep facilitator. And he believes, and he teaches, and I believe this now, that we live to sleep. And so when we're sleeping, we can actually reconnect with our higher power and our authentic self every night. And so I get excited about that when I go to sleep at night, realizing what's going to happen. And that every morning I get a new life. I can just reinvent myself from my authentic identity, my authentic self, not identity, but my authentic true self every day. That to me is exciting.
Well, that is exciting, because and if you think about it, it's complete. Now I wish I slept more, because that'd be nice. But but the cool thing is that when we go, every day is new anyway. Like, I don't have any control over what happened yesterday. I can't foresee the future, which is quite unfortunate. I'd win the lottery if I could foresee the future. And that, so I really, really only have today. And so I have to think about those times when my stress or my thoughts or things like that want to pull me out of today, how much I miss because I'm so worried and obsessed about something that happened in the past or maybe in the future. So the beautiful gift of being able to start a new day, is amazing because, I think sometimes, at least I do, I carry on the stuff from yesterday. And then by Friday, I'm like, I'm so tired.
So tired. Yeah,
I'm
the
so tired.
review. I call it the review. Like I review my day and then I review my day again in the morning. I just stop reviewing, like let it go. So
Yeah, it's Thursday and I'm reviewing Monday.
yeah, it's like where are we reviewing? Let's just
Yeah,
wait, erase the whole chalkboard and start over again.
right? Exactly.
Yeah. And most of what I'm reviewing is not about me. It's about other
No,
people. And
right?
this is what we're talking about here. It's just like releasing that need to think we can control others'
Yeah,
bubbles, others' lives, because
yeah,
they get to make their own decisions. And
yeah.
suffering comes when we think that what we do is going to stop that.
Well, and it acts for me, it's a great distraction from dealing with whatever being able to sit in discomfort and emotions, I want to feel good and happy all the time. So anything that kind of moves in a negative direction, and emotions aren't negative. I mean, I think it's just part of the human experience is you're going to have emotions and no need to label them good or bad. They just are. And I think that one of the things when I start feeling powerless or I start feeling like, things are not in my control, which is an illusion anyway, the first thing I go to is, okay, who can I control? What can I control? Just so I can feel like I have some power.
Yeah.
Because for me, power was protection,
Mhm.
right? I need to control because when I'm control, I'm powerful. But the boomerang effect that happens when I go there is so destructive internally. My husband, pretty much anyone standing within a 5 foot radius. So it's just a good reminder to like remember that when I'm trying to outwardly control, that means that I need to step back and say, hey, what's going on with you? Like have a conversation with myself. Like, what's going on with you? What do
Mm.
you need? Because this isn't what you need.
Yeah, because very important person in the mirror, Dawn, in the mirror, you're very important. You're very special. And what is it that you need? It's so funny. I just pulled up that horoscope for myself, that message from the universe that said, what is it that you need right now? What is your passion? What is it that you desire? And sometimes I have no idea.
I know.
I have no clue because
Yeah.
I'm always thinking about what my kids need or what my grandkids need or
Right.
what my neighbor
Exactly.
needs. Uh, we get
Yeah.
we get to do things for ourselves sometimes.
And sometimes if I, there are a lot of times when I don't even know what I need, right? But sometimes it helps me to identify what I don't need,
Yeah.
right? So if I shed I don't need this, whatever it is, it has a tendency to uncover what it is I truly need. But sometimes I really don't know what I need until I let go of what I know I don't need first. And then it appears. Then I'm like, oh, I'm not carrying a I always laugh. It's like putting coats on, right? So like we put all these coats on and we put these coats on and put more coats on and you don't even know what's going on and how many coats you have until you start taking coats off. And you're like, why am I hot? And these are so heavy. And then you start taking the coats off, and pretty soon you realize that you put all these coats on, and then, that's kind of like my visualization. I'm very visual. So it's like a visualization on what is it that I need to let go of so I can receive what I need because I have no idea.
That
Right.
that is it. That is
That's
it. It's a clearing of the clutter. It is.
Yeah.
So are you saying, Dawn, that my incessant organizing actually productive. I'm not just trying to control something.
Well, okay, so there's two sides of that coin. So I am not excessively organized. I can't find most things most days. But that's why I'm married to someone like that. But I think for me, I have mine manifests in a different way. Like mine manifests in a different way. So it's all two sides of the same coin. However, I do wish I had that obsession to organize or clean, because some of my friends do. I'm like, wow, that I missed that memo, because that totally didn't hit me. Maybe procrastination. So maybe I'm on the other end where I'm like, meh, I'll do it tomorrow.
And that's good because you can. Because you
It
can.
can, yeah, it'll still be there. I think the floor will actually still need vacuum tomorrow. I used to stress myself out so much about, I would judge, like I would go to someone's house and it'd be perfect and it would be everything that I wanted and it'd be just so, and I would come home and I would run myself down about how my house didn't look as good and I didn't do a good enough job. And this is like, I don't even know what. And, I was just having a conversation about the unrealistic standards that I set for myself, like somehow I'm able to just do everything. And the truth is I'm not, and I'm not willing to. So now if there's some dishes in the sink, I'm like, meh, they'll be there when I get to them, or someone will get to them. I used to freak out at all of that, but the reality is, yeah, I don't anymore, which
But
is a lot more freeing.
how freeing. Exactly. Because I think that's an identity thing. Like, oh, I must be perfect in how I keep my house or decorate my house or make meals or whatever it is.
Right.
In
Yep.
big scheme of things, doesn't really matter that much.
Doesn't matter. It's not
No.
like on my headstone, they're going to go, here lies Dawn. She was an amazing house cleaner and her floor was always clean.
Yeah, that would be comical, actually. Nobody really down. No,
Yeah, no, I hope not. I hope not.
no. Yeah, that's good stuff. So how do people contribute to or join this amazing cause that you have created for all of us?
You can go to afsp.org/Arizona, and it'll take you actually to the Arizona page. And Corey Frolander, well, that's her maiden name. She actually, it's Corey Reese now. She's actually the director of the state chapter, I believe, Arizona and New Mexico. And there's a contact email. So they always need volunteers. It's a 100% volunteer driven organization. There's maybe, I think, 2 staff in the whole state that manage all of these walks. So every walk in every area always needs volunteers. They need volunteers to go into the community to do programs. So, yeah, you can go there and then contact Corey, and then she can put you to work.
One more time for the website.
A is in Apple, F is in Frank, S is in Sam, P is in Paul, .org
Great.
/Arizona.
Okay, afspeace.org/Arizona. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we will also link it below here in case
Fabulous.
any of you would like to join this amazing cause and help with suicide prevention in the state of Arizona. So yes, Dawn, you've been through a lot. You've created a lot. You're an amazing human. I was right. My first time was right. You are special. And I didn't even know all of this. So just know that authentic you that you were born as doesn't need to prove a thing. You are.
Much appreciated. Much appreciated. And I'm very grateful. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to, just chat and kind of share my journey, and, hopefully it helps someone along the way. And I think the only thing that one thing someone told me once, when I was stressing out about, oh my gosh, this person's going to believe this and all these things and these lies, I told myself, that person said to me, just be you.
Mm-hmm.
It was that simple. Just be you. Oh, okay. Sometimes I don't know what that means, but just be you. Like I don't have to be anyone but that.
You just show up.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's it.
We don't see ourselves, but I don't think we're supposed to.
That's true. That's true.
Thank you, Dawn. I will link the information below on both the podcast sites and the YouTube site as well. And will you come back again and talk to us again about some more stuff?
I would I would love to. That would be awesome.
I love you and I can talk forever about just about anything, I'm pretty sure. So we
Yep,
will.
pretty much.
All right. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us on Authentic Living with Dawn Jenyce, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.